Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. Glad you made it today. Today I wanted to talk to you about a presumptive list of conditions that every veteran can qualify for. So we've been hearing a lot about presumptive conditions and presumptive lists of conditions. Primarily it's going to be, your herbicide exposure, Agent Orange, Vietnam area, Laos, all that stuff, Thailand, that whole list. Gulf War, newly enacted list of presumptive conditions, and Camp Lejeune, water issues, presumptive. So there's lists for presumptives, right? There is, and there has been, and just nobody ever knows or talks about it, a presumptive list that every single veteran has access to. They just don't know they do, and oftentimes they either miss that window, or they miss it, or they just don't even know that it's there and they never file for it. So I'm going to dive into that. Please hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. It really helps to get the word out to more of us. And even if some of this stuff is things that you already know, simply watching this video and liking it helps to get it in the hands of those that need it. So it's a way for us to kind of give back and help. I do that myself, right? Watch other videos and do that as well. So the presumptive process eliminates the need for a nexus. So I'm going to do a quick explanation on how presumptives work because they're powerful. The VA has a presumptive route for VA disability, okay? This presumptive route for a claim eliminates the need for a nexus. You do not need to prove that your condition, if it's on the presumptive list, you do not need to prove that that condition was as a result of your service. You don't need to have a diagnosis from service time. It can be 30 years later, doesn't matter. You don't need to prove that the military caused it, that it happened, that it manifests. You don't need to prove any of that. All you simply need to prove is that you served this period of time in this location and you have one of these conditions. And if you have those two things, right? So for example, you served in Vietnam between this year and you have diabetes, the VA just goes, yep, it's because you served in Vietnam during that time frame. Okay, so super powerful, makes it super easy to file a claim and get it approved. Okay, so that's the number one thing. So that's kind of how the presumptive aspect works. Many people are not aware that there is a 1-year presumptive for all veterans who served active duty. You serve active duty and you have 1 year after discharge to where there's a whole host of conditions that if you get diagnosed with during that first year, that's the presumptive list. If you get diagnosed in that 1 year, they will presume that it was because of your service. So then what happens is you don't need to prove the nexus at all. You just prove, hey, I served here, I got out, and now I have this condition. Now this might make some people a little bit irritated because it's one of those, well, damn, I wish I would have known. If I would have known that, I would have went to the doctor when I first got out 15 times and got checked for things. And sadly, I'm in that boat too. I wish that it would have made things a lot easier instead of going through all the heartache of the VA claims process over and over again. But the reality is that now we have the opportunity with means like this to get this information in the hands of those that can actually utilize it. There may be some of us that can look back and partake in some of these presumptive conditions that you had no clue existed. And I'm going to read from the VA's website here, just so you know, and I'll copy and paste down in the comments and I'll put links and all that good stuff. So this is from the VA's website. So disabilities that appear within 1 year after discharge. That's the big bold title. You may be eligible to get disability benefits if you have signs of an illness like hypertension, high blood pressure, arthritis, diabetes, or peptic ulcers that started within 1 year after you were discharged from active duty service. If your symptoms appear within 1 year after discharge, even if they weren't there while you were serving, the VA will conclude that they're related to your service. So eliminating the need for a nexus. So in other words, if you got out and then 8 months later you got diagnosed with high blood pressure or diabetes or arthritis, you're going to be good to go. Now there's a whole list, and I'll put that list in the description. Again, please hit the like button because we need this information out there. Watch the video, and it helps to move the needle on getting this information in front of all of our brothers and sisters, right? So here's a little more on the website. Am I eligible for disability benefits from the VA, right? It says, you may be eligible for disability benefits if you have an illness that's at least 10% disabling that appears within 1 year after discharge, and you meet both of these requirements. So there's two. The illness is listed in Title 38 Code of Federal Regulations 3.309A, which I'll put in here. That's just the list of conditions. So that's the presumptive condition list that they have. And you didn't receive a dishonorable discharge. So we all know there's several discharge types, right? So you did not receive a dishonorable discharge, and your condition is on the list. Who's covered? Veterans, obviously. What kind of benefits can you get? Healthcare and compensation. And that's a whole other video there, is really what is the value of being service connected, right? We all know the monetary compensation piece, which is great, but there is a value to the healthcare system and access to that. I mean, Google search some prices, get some quotes on full coverage healthcare. It's horrendous. So there's definitely additional value. So how do you get these benefits? You'll need to file a claim, obviously, for disability compensation and submit your evidence supporting documents, right? It says your evidence will need to show that both of these are true of your illness. So again, remember, this is filing a claim for a presumptive at 1 year, within 1 year of discharge. So it's at least 10% disabling. For example, you may submit a doctor's report showing that you're taking medicine for your high blood pressure. So that's an example. And this is the second point. So it has to be at least 10%, and it appeared within 1 year after being discharged from active service. So the example here, for example, you may submit a medical report that shows the date of your diagnosis, right? So you went to the doctor, you got diagnosed, here you go. The dates are on there, and you have your date of discharge on your DD-214, so it's easy to do the math, right? Was it within 12 months? If you have an illness listed in Title 38 Code of Federal Regulations 3.309A, you won't need to show the problem started during or got worse because of your military service, because again, it's a presumptive. This is because we, the VA, believe that certain diseases that appear within 1 year of your discharge are related to your service. We refer to these as presumptive diseases. Okay, so again, it's a presumptive. So the idea here is that you went to the doctor and you got diagnosed within 1 year of discharge. Okay, and if you got diagnosed with a disease, some sort of illness that's chronic or has residual effects, you're likely going to be able to utilize that diagnosis as a means to get this presumptive condition awarded. Now, here's an interesting part. Exceptions. The following diseases are covered even if they appear more than 1 year after you separated from service. I'm going to say that again. The following diseases are covered even if they appear more than 1 year after you separated from service. Hansen's disease, tuberculosis, multiple sclerosis, and ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Okay? If you have one of those, file a claim, right? You do not need to prove a nexus because these are the exceptions. So you should be able to, according to the VA's website, if you have one of those conditions, you can file a claim showing you have that condition and you served active duty. And it clearly says the following diseases are covered even if they appear more than 1 year after you separated from service. So 20 years later, I come down with ALS. Here you go. I have ALS and I served active duty. So it's on their website. That's pretty much it on that page. So what I will do is put everything in the description below, and I'll cut it here. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Help share the word, spread the word, likes, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.